My name is Mikkel Fowkes. This is my video for the Space Shuttle Challenger questionnaire, or whatever you want to call it. As I read this article and pondered the questions that are asked in the assignment, the first one was, what could NASA have done differently? And I think this is a really broad question because there were a lot of things that NASA could have done differently, and I think they were mistakes that many people make within any company. Really, this just happened to be a company that had the lives of some beautiful people at stake. I think one of the main things that NASA could have done differently is care less about politics and more about safety. It's stated at the end of the article that we read about the topics for discussion, I guess it could say, is that previously in the history of NASA, they put safety above everything else. If there was even a question about whether or not something was going to work, it became the main topic, the main focus, and nothing happened until that safety concern was resolved. And I believe that that was one of the major mistakes that they made, revolving their shuttle mission around the vice president and around the pressure of the space race and things like that. Nobody's life is worth any of that. And I think that, as I stated at the end of the article, the engineer versus manager perspectives should never be mixed. And I think that was kind of what led to that balance being disrupted, was the fact that these managers who are hired to make sure the company is functional, to make sure the company stays on top, stays in the black, as you could say, that's their job. But these engineers need to speak up, and that leads me to Roger Boisjoli. I really said his last name wrong, but Roger, he was in a really tough situation where if he would have insisted or spoken out of turn in this conference of whether or not to launch the space shuttle mission, he could have definitely lost his job. There was a lot of pressure for him in that situation, and I'm sure he did what he thought was right. And if he didn't, I'm sure he had a good reason for it. But I mean, it's easy for us to say, no, he should have stood up for it when we weren't there. It's not fair to assume that he should have spoken up no matter what the cost, because he didn't know what could have happened. Nobody could have known. If anybody would have known, this wouldn't have happened at all. Lastly, I think the last question in relation to being loyal to management and protecting the public welfare, for me, protecting the public welfare, obviously, and I think that would be the answer to most people, is most important. However, I believe too that, again, it's by situation, it's by the person. I mean, I work for an attorney, and I want nothing more than to please my boss and to do well so that she continues to give me promotions and she continues to keep me on as her assistant. And I can't imagine the pressure that these people were feeling at the time, that anyone would feel at the time, with regards to being loyal to management. However, it needs to be instilled within our management that the public welfare is more important, and I think that would eliminate the problem.